All right, so you're ready to take on English. Awesome. We're diving into this really insightful guide today, all about building a strong foundation in English. And don't worry, it's all about taking things step by step.
Yeah, no need to get overwhelmed.
Exactly. And, the guide really emphasizes a few key principles, like focusing on the most common words, not getting bogged down by, perfect grammar right away.
Right, and being strategic about tackling verb tenses, which can be a little scary.
Oh, for sure.
But one thing I found fascinating is how much it emphasizes the power of verbs. It's like they're the core building blocks of, actually being able to communicate.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
The guide actually highlights 50 common verbs. These are the ones that are, used all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it, words like ask, become, even simple ones like work.
Yeah, those are the backbone of so many sentences.
Right. And what's cool is it's not just about memorizing a list of verbs. The guide digs into why these high-frequency verbs, the ones you'll hear and see constantly, are so important.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Even if your vocabulary is still pretty basic, these verbs can help you unlock a huge part of the language.
It's like they're like the key.
Yeah, they're like a key. Exactly.
I remember when I was learning Spanish, those common verbs were like total lifesavers.
Oh, I bet.
And another thing this guide stresses is that we don't have to be grammar experts overnight. Phew.
Right. It's such a relief. I mean, the point the guide is making is you can start communicating and communicating effectively without being a grammar whiz.
Absolutely.
Even native speakers, we all make mistakes sometimes.
Oh, all the time.
The important thing is getting your message across.
Exactly. Okay, but what about those verb tenses? I mean, English has 12 of them. It can be a little bit intimidating.
Absolutely. But you know what? The guide breaks it down so brilliantly. Like, you can start strong with just 3: simple present, simple past, and simple future.
Just 3. Okay, yeah, that feels way less overwhelming.
Right.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
Okay, so think of it this way. Simple present, that's for things that are happening now, like I work on Mondays. Simple past, that's for completed actions, like yesterday I worked. And then simple future, that's for, actions you plan to do, like tomorrow I will work.
Oh, those examples are so clear. That makes a lot of sense. Now, I think we've all been there, like trying to understand native speakers when they're talking like a mile a minute.
Oh, yeah.
It can feel impossible.
Yeah.
So what does the guide suggest for, actually improving your listening comprehension?
It gives a really practical tip, and I love this. It's start small. Like, instead of trying to watch, an entire movie in English, try focusing on short audio clips, maybe just 10 seconds to a minute long.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to fit those short bursts of listening into your day,
Right.
It's less pressure than trying to, follow a complex plot or something.
Oh.
And it's not just how you listen, it's what you listen to. The guide really encourages focusing on vocabulary that's actually relevant to your own life.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to, memorize every single word in the dictionary.
You learn the words that'll actually help you, get around in your world using English.
Exactly.
So, let's say you're focused on family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you might learn words like mother, father, sister, brother.
Yeah, that's a great example. And, if you're thinking about work, you might focus on the language you need for your specific job, whatever that is, or even just everyday things like cooking, getting ready in the morning, cleaning, just the words you use on a daily basis.
Yeah, even something as simple as weather expressions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's cold, it's hot, it's raining,
Exactly. Those are phrases you'll use all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is where the guide gets into another really important principle, which is practice. It really emphasizes that even just 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference.
So how do we actually make the most of that practice time? Does the guide offer any specific strategies?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It actually suggests reviewing new words a lot. Like if you learn a new word on Monday, make sure to use it again on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, so you really cement it in your mind.
Exactly. Build that muscle memory. And the guide also highlights the importance of testing yourself. Like after you learn a new word, wait a few minutes and then try to recall it. See if you can remember it.
Yeah, that's a great way to see what's actually sticking.
Totally.
And it really all comes back to, that idea of focusing on the things that are most important to you. Those family words, those work terms, those weather expressions, whatever you're going to actually use.
Absolutely. And speaking of using what you learn, the guide also gets into pronunciation. It stresses that clear pronunciation is super important for being understood, especially when you're a beginner.
Right, because even if you know all the right words, if you're not pronouncing them clearly, it can lead to, like, all sorts of misunderstandings.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it offers some good tips for practicing, like listening to native speakers and trying to imitate how they sound.
Oh, yeah, I remember doing that when I was learning Spanish.
Yeah.
I would, like, watch movies and try to copy the way the actors were pronouncing things.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
I felt a little silly at first, but it really worked.
It does. And, there are so many resources online now, like, pronunciation guides, videos, all kinds of things that can help you really break down the sounds of English.
That's awesome. Okay, so we've talked about verbs and grammar and listening and vocabulary, even pronunciation. What about reading and writing?
Good point. Yeah, the guide actually emphasizes that reading and writing, those are essential skills too. They kind of complement the speaking and listening.
Right.
They all kind of work together to help you build like a really well-rounded language foundation.
So it's not just about being able to have a conversation. It's also about understanding, like written English and being able to write yourself.
Exactly. And the guide has some practical advice for beginners who are just starting out with those skills. For example, it suggests starting with, simple texts like maybe children's books or those graded readers.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that use like pretty basic vocabulary and grammar.
Right. So you're not getting overwhelmed right away.
Exactly. And then as you progress, you can gradually, move on to more challenging materials like news articles, short stories, maybe even novels.
Yeah, the key is to choose stuff that you're actually interested in.
Totally.
Like if you love cooking, you could start by reading some simple recipes in English.
That's a great idea. And when it comes to writing, the guide encourages beginners to start with short, simple things, maybe writing emails or shopping lists or even just journaling in English.
Yeah, just getting those words flowing.
Exactly.
All about building that confidence. I think I'm realizing that learning English as a beginner, it's not just about memorizing a bunch of rules and words.
Right.
It's like developing a whole new way of thinking and communicating.
That's a great insight. Yeah, the guide really stresses that learning any new language, it's a journey, not a race.
Yeah.
It's really about embracing the whole process, celebrating those small victories you have, and not being afraid to make mistakes along the way. Everybody does.
And I think that's really encouraging, especially for anyone who's feeling kind of overwhelmed or intimidated by the idea of, learning English.
Absolutely.
Remember, you don't have to be perfect from day one. It's all about progress, not perfection.
I love that. And this guide gives such a clear and encouraging roadmap for that whole journey. It reminds us to start with those core principles, focusing on high frequency verbs, building a solid foundation in grammar without getting stuck in the details, practicing listening in those manageable chunks, choosing vocabulary that's actually relevant to our own lives, working on pronunciation, and, embracing reading and writing as essential skills.
Yeah. And most importantly, remembering that, practice and attitude make all the difference.
Yes. It's amazing how much progress you can make when you commit to even just a few minutes of practice every day.
Yeah.
And you approach the process with a sense of curiosity and excitement.
So true. This deep dive has been really helpful for me, even though I'm not a beginner anymore. It's a good reminder of all those key principles that are part of learning any language, no matter what level you're at.
I agree. It's easy to forget those fundamental principles as we kind of, move along in our language journey.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's helpful to go back to the basics, remind ourselves of those core strategies that can help us, continue to grow and improve.
And speaking of growth and improvement, before we move on to our next deep dive, I have one last thought for our listener. Think about one small thing you can do today to put some of this into practice.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Maybe it's, I don't know, writing down those 3 simple verb tenses we talked about. Or looking up a new word that's related to, your hobbies or something. Or even, just listening to a short song in English.
Yeah, I love that.
Just, one little step to kind of keep that momentum going.
That's such a good point. It really is all about taking action and making these principles, part of your routine.
Yeah, make it a habit.
Exactly. Because even those small efforts, when you do them consistently, they can lead to amazing progress over time.
They really can.
And, the most important thing, have fun with it. Learning English should be a rewarding experience, something you enjoy.
Absolutely. So yeah, embrace the journey, celebrate those little wins you have, and don't worry about being perfect right away.
You got this.
Yeah, you totally got this.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps up this deep dive. But before we go, we'd love to hear what resonated most with you. Like, what's one thing you're going to be thinking about today? And until next time, happy learning.